We're doing it live. All right, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic day of the week, Wednesday, on one of the best shows on the internet, Masculine Geek. This is Masculine Geek number 128, the Fireside chat series. This is just some general table talk. And before we started talking, which had nothing to do with table talk other than maybe moving a table, we were talking about TJ's adventures thus far. Do you want to expound on that, TJ? Or do you want to leave it secret for now?
I was going to talk about it on my own podcast, so we'll leave it. I don't want to say secret, but we'll just hold off on it.
Sure.
There are some dames involved, flappers, loose women, questionable morals.
Speaking of questionable
morals, yes.
Cheetos! You did it. That's awesome. So you were out in Connecticut?
Yep. The truth is, Abby, the jig is up.
I know. I saw the video you sent.
My fellow thespian here.
Can you talk a little bit about it, or is it still?
Yeah, a bit.
Okay, cool.
Well, on your show, yes, because the chat right now. Oh, are we live? Yeah, we're live. Okay,
we're live.
Yeah. So yeah, I was in not New Hampshire. I was in Connecticut. And what the hell? Naugatuck.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's another place called Sheraton is actually where I was staying, but we did the shooting in Naugatuck. Which is an Indian name that if I knew the Wayne's World bit, I would start to. What is it? The Milwaukee.
Yeah, Milwaukee.
So if anybody watching this is going to get a special treat because I haven't really revealed anything about this, and people didn't even know why I was going. Even guys in Rule Zero were like, "What the hell is he doing there?"
You mean more of a special treat than modern dating's nipple last time?
Yeah, nip slip.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't get banned for that, but we're okay. I guess it wasn't because he was reclining.
No, really?
Reclining in a bed.
You have to make it more sexualized. Is that how it works?
Exactly. Apparently, the YouTube algorithm picks up on bed sheets and nipples.
Sounds like a Disney movie.
I'm monkeying around.
Right like bed knobs and
broomsticks. Exactly. Yeah. With Angela Lansbury.
Yep. well, not anymore, but yeah.
Those nips have slipped down to the waist.
So here's what I did. I was approached by this guy, Kevin Savo, on Instagram. And he said, "Dude, can you please check this out? You know, he's got this thing called Captain Save-A-Ho. It's a comedy. Okay. So it's a comedy. But the great thing about it, I probably would have just blown it off as another person, like just kind of like coming on to me and saying, "Hey, check this out, blah, 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 blah." And
how can I profit off of you?
How can I? Yeah, exactly. Because I get thrown like ideas to do like collaborations and stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know why I went and just looked at it, but I did. And it was cool. It was very cool. He has a very well polished production that he has going on right now. And so I was talking to him, and we just sort of we're shooting the breeze between each other. And he says, "I want you to be a cameo in Captain Sable." And he already had one. I know, it's funny. And so I'll tell you that I'll give you the briefest version of what I can reveal anyways at this stage. So Kevin Savo is the oldest of four brothers, and they are Italian / Puerto Ricans. And they live in Connecticut. They're natives of Connecticut, and really, really cool guys. If you've seen my Instagram feed, you'll know who I'm talking about because I put all kinds of pictures up there while I was doing it. And no, I'm not getting any band back together. Not that band. I'm already in a band. Thanks, John. So anyways, Kevin says, "I'll fly you out here, blah, blah, blah." And he was going to pay me for my my appearance and everything. I said, "Look, just fly me out first class and we'll talk. I want to go out there. I want to meet you. I'll be in it. Right. Just cause I just wanted to get a feel of what was going on." And so I went out there, and really took care of me. Very professional guy. Kevin's 25 years old.
Oh,
And
shit.
yeah, and all of his, he's the oldest of the four brothers. Like they range from 18 to 25. And so Captain Save-A-Ho is this kind of detective thing, and it's a comedy. It's a red pill comedy. Now, remember our conversation last Wednesday, or actually, remember the conversation we had when we did Masculine Geek on my channel, and we had Jeffro on, and you guys were talking about, we have to recreate the culture, right? We have to do something. We have to be creative. And here I am, and I've done this several times on this channel, and when we had this talk on my channel and other places, is we have to create the culture, right? You got to create the culture that you want, because the culture is corrupted, it's perverted, it's been appropriated, it's been bastardized and distorted into whatever it is. All of the above, right? And so we can't sit here and just complain about like, oh man, Star Wars sucks. Okay, great. Make your own damn Star Wars.
So what are you going to do about it?
They put something in this.
Yes.
It's constant.
And so Kevin is he definitely a red pill guy. Follows me, follows guys like AMS and some other dudes. And he's an interesting cat, because he's also done Captain Save-A-Ho is just one project of his. He's got another movie coming out called The Opener, which is, do you guys remember Eminem and 8 Mile?
Yeah.
Okay. So think about that, but only better, and in 2021. So
all right, cool.
So it's going to be hard to imagine, because I saw 8 Mile, and Eminem was out when I was in high school, so I was kind of in the ground zero for that, and the context of that was really specific. So I'm trying to imagine what it would be like today, because the kind of stuff he was saying and the kind of stuff he was talking about was edgy back then, but now it's,
it's just, it's expected.
Yeah.
But so anyways, but The Opener's not, I'm just, it's not, hasn't have anything to do with that, but it's that kind of feel, right? It's that coming up kind of story. And he's doing the whole thing on his own, funding the whole thing himself. He's technically, I guess you would call him an independent filmmaker. Never went to film school, just said, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And he did it. And his brothers, this is what they want to do, because his brothers are also included in a lot of his stuff. You'll see, you won't notice them unless I point them out, but like in the clips and everything. And episode 1 is already out, so you can go and watch episode 1. I am going to do, I have a cameo in episode 2 where I play kind of like a hitman, like a henchman or a hitman.
Oh, okay, cool.
So, and then, I'll tell you what's funny is like, I was like, okay, he was saying, well, you can't wear a hat and you can't wear a beanie, and we need you to tie your head back. And I'm like, okay, no problem. And it worked. It worked so good for that character. It was like, it's kind of like that older mafioso guy. So
Godfather.
That was so, and he wanted me to wear my zoot suit, and that you can't really tell in the shots that I have the zoot on, but it's basically my black zoot suit with a red tie. And yes, that was intentional. Because people go, hey, I got it. He put a red tie on. Like, nice. Calm down. Yes, that way.
It was intentional. You got the reference.
Yes.
I do want to throw something out, because I was thinking about this when we were talking about this last week, and also on your channel about stuff, is obviously having, I'd say, red pill values being conveyed through art. But one of the issues with, I guess one of my cautions or warnings is with if you look at the Christian community and they've tried to do art, what they do is they do it backwards. They try to convey art through values rather than values through art. So you've got all these very cheesy, ham-handed, where it's just like it's almost like a propaganda film. I mean,
they're about kosher. It's Christian kosher as well.
Right. But it's about as subtle as Triumph of the Will or something like that. Where
what was it in The Simpsons when they were talking about Christian rock? He's like, "No, you've made rock worse. Got any better?"
Right. And so I think that like one of the things I've tried to do with my own writing is I want it to be really subtle to where people can pick up on it, but where it's not like explicitly talked about. I mean, the same thing with Tolkien. I mean, he said that Lord of the Rings was a Catholic trilogy, like the values were Catholic, but obviously you're reading the book. No one would ever suspect that, but you look at some of the just different values of that.
Well,
and
the story has to come first.
Yes.
Right, the story has to come first. Whereas C.S. Lewis, like you had to have been living in a rock to not notice the allegories of the Chronicles of Narnia. Like he was not subtle with that. Good stories, but it was definitely allegorical.
Beat you over the head with the allegories. You know?
Right. And
Right,
Tolkien always hated allegory, or at least is self-professed to have hated allegory, and adamantly insisted that the Lord of the Rings is anything but.
Jeffro Johnson will like shoot me for saying this, but it seems like Tolkien is like more authentic or more sincere than C.S. Lewis when it comes to the Chronicles of Narnia. Like I know that C.S. Lewis wrote.
Well, no, I agree. I think that was one of the problems is that Tolkien. So what was funny is in the Inklings, that was the group where they did like internal critiques of each other's work.
Their version of us.
Yeah, their version of us.
Yeah.
Tolkien was actually very critical privately of C.S. Lewis's stuff. He thought, like, look, you shouldn't be doing it this way. Outwardly,
a little too allegorical. Yeah.
Yeah, outwardly he came out and said, like, he defended his work, and obviously he was sticking up for his friend because it's just like we want that kind of literature to get out. But yeah, like even Tolkien just said, nothing in my books are allegorical. There's nothing to be read. And people have tried to read into different parts of the book. There's that scene from the Two Towers where they're going through the swamp, and there's all the dead bodies in the swamp, and people were trying to think that that's
dead marshes. Yeah.
The trenches of World War I and so forth. Yeah.
I'm wrong. I'm by no means a Tolkien-esque scholar of any merit, but wasn't there like a lot of people were trying to say that like most of the Lord of the Rings, they were trying to make it comparable to like what he was going through World War II.
World War I.
Well, they tried to reference some of this. Like there were some scenes. There was that one scene where if you see in the film, Frodo and Sam and Gollum are going through the swampland, and there's all the dead bodies that are
the only truth to Tolkien's for what I've read and from my own theorizing, the only real truth about Tolkien in World War I was the relationship that Tolkien had as an officer with his adjunct. His assistant, as it were, that helped him through. That's where you see that relationship between Frodo and Sam. That's the only reference you're going to get to World War I that I think that's more poignant and actually pushes the story along and is truthful. That's about it.
And much to all the female fanfic writers, it's not homoerotic. It's
no, not at all.
Isn't that fascinating?
Well,
those kind of bring sex to things, and that's how they see everything, including our relationships with each other as men.
Right.
Those kind of observations say more about the observer than they do the actual art they're critiquing.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Going back to
not that fascinating.
Kind of what I was getting at is like this idea of conveying the values of something. And I've tried to do some of that stuff with a couple of my novels where I was studying red pill stuff. I was understanding the actual true dynamics between men and women, all that stuff, and tried to put that into my books. And maybe in some cases I was a little bit more explicit than I should have been. I'd want to be more subtle, but I think that's one of the things is that it should be something where an ordinary person can watch it and not really necessarily realize it. And what's funny is some of the most effective red pill, stories are by people who don't even know what the story they're telling. And an example of that comes to mind is Blue Valentine. I don't think the people who made that film really understood
what they were doing. Yeah. I have used that film in so many different essays that I've written over the years. And like a lot of people go, I can't believe you're using this as a reference for a red pill movie. I go, no, I'm using it as a reference for a blue pill movie.
Well, I mean, you watch it and you're just like, this is how it actually is. And another example is Gone with the Wind. I was watching that recently and I was like, wow, this is an example of there's that, the one part of the movie where she deliberately marries a guy to get his money so that she can use it to pay off the taxes on her the plantation property. Like that's it. That's the only reason. That's the only reason she did it. And then he dies and she's like, yeah, whatever. And then moves on to the next. It's like, wow.
There's nothing. There ain't nothing new under the sun, TJ. Yep, nothing
Next,
new
our
under the
fresh
sun.
fit, Scarlet from
Mhm.
Gone with the Wind.
Right.
Well, no, I thought it was interesting how films back in the day would do that kind of stuff, and it was for its time one of the most popular films. I mean, in England, it was during the wartime. It's one of the most seen in terms of the number of people who saw it compared to the number of theaters it was open in, and so it struck a nerve. But at the same time, you're watching, you're like, wow, this woman's very mercenary with how she sees things. You know, her husband's dead from the war within a month, and she's like, you know, already looking for another guy to replace.
It's
She's
opportunism. It's
she's
opportunism.
loving opportunistically. Where have I heard that expressed before?
She marries.
Kevin Samuels, how's it feel being dethroned?
Well, she marries a guy specifically just to spite a guy she's actually interested in. Rhett Butler. Like, I was just like, I was watching that, you know, probably 10 years ago. I was like, wow, this girl is cold-hearted. Like,
Opportunism. It's female opportunism is what it ends up being. Oh, wait! Don't do that. I'll share it for you. Don't stream it. Let me give you I'll actually give you the clip. I just put that up before I came on. That's actually why I was a little bit late. Here, let me stream.
Cool.
Let me stream that one for you. Let's see, it's sequenced.
Cool.
I can only show like a 30. This is a 30-second clip of a much longer clip. So let me put this up there.
All right, cool.
There you go.
You ever wonder, like, what if the roles were reversed and you were the one that was in trouble? Do you think anyone would come save you? What do you say we find out?
Like that. Yeah.
Nice. That's
Nicely
pretty
done.
funny.
Yeah, that was part of a much longer scene. So.
Okay. What was your total running time?
Oh, for me being on there?
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Okay.
And you spent how long filming that 2 minutes?
Like half the day. And by the way, I'll tell you what's funny. I'll give you some background as to what happened. So I flew out Friday of last week, and I had to get up at probably about 3:30 in the morning to get on a 6:30 flight. So I'm getting out there, fly into O'Hare, and the layover that was supposed to be an hour and 30 minutes turned into 4 hours.
Oh shit!
Yeah, because Elsa was over there, and there was the storm was going through, and then there was also like they couldn't get a flight crew and everything. So I finally rolled into now, granted, remember I'm changing time zones like crazy here. I get in
4
there,
hours, right?
wiped out. I get to Connecticut. It's already late there, right? Because it's of the time difference. So I'm there, and I got nice room, Hilton, pretty good. They took care of me, and so I'm there, and of course Kevin wants to talk, so we're kind of shooting the shit, and I'm okay. I don't even think about it because like I'm still awake because my time is like 3 hours earlier. I get to sleep. I have to get up at 5 a.m. He didn't need me till 6 or 6:30 to be ready, but I have to I've got this freaking mop to take care of, right? Just because I know I'm going to be on film. I know I'm not going to have a beanie on. I'm not going to have a hat on. I am not fucking bald. Okay. And so I'm like, I have to flatten it. I've got to use the flattening iron and everything else. I know it sounds all girly and everything, but I got to do that for this particular thing. You see how my hair was in there. So I got to do that. That takes a good 45 minutes to make sure that looks the way that I want to do it.
Presentable, yeah.
Do it. And then you'll also notice I've got a really thick 5 o'clock shadow. I didn't do the chin strap for this one because Kevin wanted me to look like kind of haggard. So me getting up at 5 a.m. and being on like maybe 4 or 5 hours sleep plus jet lag made me the perfect character.
you were haggard.
Yes, I was hamburger at that time, but that's what they wanted, right? They wanted me to kind of look like I was like, so I'm sure everyone on this panel has watched Breaking Bad. Have you seen Everybody's seen Breaking Bad, right?
Yeah.
Probably watched it multiple times. I love Breaking Bad. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my very favoriteest series ever. And I find it almost a religious experience at this stage. But you guys know who Mike is then, right? The assassin, the henchman who is part of Gus Fring's, like he's his fixer for Gus Fring, right? The drug dealer. So I'm looking at Mike and I'm watching all these clips of Mike on YouTube before I'm going out there. So I'm trying to base that character or what. And remember, this is a cameo. They just wrote me into the script kind of thing. So here I am trying to okay, I'm going to be Mike. I'm going to do this. So, I came from a hard background and I'm coming up with all this. I'm coming up with exactly the same kind of thing that Jeffro would criticize, these sort of wokesy players of D&D, right? It's not, dude, it's no one cares. You're just this random guy.
Backstory.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to make it, and I even told Kevin that I said I'm going to aim for Mike. For Trout, I think is what his last name was in the series. I said I'm going to aim for Mike. So that's what I was shooting for. But the problem is when you get to Connecticut, they all have just that kind of upstate New York accent, but it's not Boston. It's not heavy Boston, right? That's Boston accent, right? But it's kind of like that JFK kind of you get that little
very subtle.
Yeah, New Hampshire, Philadelphia, upstate New York.
It's a habit by.
Yeah, look,
equations on the wall.
Hey, the Pets gonna win a Super Bowl. That kind of stuff. And boy, man, it is infectious when you get there. And so you'll hear me kind of ape that just a touch in some of these.
It's a southern drawl.
Leaning a little bit on your R's and H's.
Yeah, exactly. It's the JFK accent essentially. And so I'm trying to work with that, and I'm trying to work with Mike, and those are my inspiration. What's my motivation here, director? Right. I'm looking for my close up, Mr. Mushkin.
He's got his Borga and Borga Leeway.
Yeah.
You get your Borga.
Actor for a day, and he's completely method.
And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking exactly of fucking Vince and TJ talking about forget about it.
Yeah, sing on. Look, you dirty whore.
Copper.
Oh, you dirty sissy.
Yeah. There's a fly in the ointment.
That's right.
There's ink in the milk. I had to. There's a couple the girl who's in there, the girl who's the bartender in that one scene. Her name's Nikki, and she is she seems really kind of like scream queen. She could probably be a good 80s scream queen for Friday the 13th or something like that. She's actually really good. All of them are volunteers. None of them getting paid. None of them they're just doing this because they believe in what Kevin and his brothers are doing. Like I said, he's got he's one of 4 brothers, and they have always been into sort of hamming up on a camera. And God forbid, and they happen to be born in the age where we have cell phones with lots of 4K cameras on them. And so they loved it. And they were showing me some video of them when they were 12 or 13 or 14 years old. And they're just going, they're trying to get, Marc-Andre Fleury to give them he's the goalie for the Vegas Golden Knights, but then he was for the Penguins, and so they're trying to get him to give an autograph or something like that, and they make this production out of all the boys going to get an autograph from Marc-Andre Fleury. And so they're showing me this, and they've been doing this for close to 10 years, just this is what they like to do. And so I'm these guys have the drive. These guys have the fire under their asses because this is just what they love to do. What is it? Kevin's younger brother, I believe it was his younger brother, Rocky. His name is Rocky. He turned on, he and I think his other brother, Mark, turned him on to my work in the Red Pill and everything else. And so that's why he decided to do Captain Save-A-Ho. Now, the thing that's interesting about Captain Save-A-Ho is that it's a comedy, as you can see, but it's also the great thing about it is it takes itself seriously. So it's not deadpan stuff. You're laughing at it because they're taking it seriously, almost like Monty Python, where you don't break character and stuff, and you're just busting your gut laughing at the whole thing. But he keeps it very, very serious the whole time. And so if you watch episode 1, you get an idea of what he's about. He is a Captain Save-A-Ho. He is the detective, the lead detective kind of guy, and he has a partner named Rage, and that's actually his real name. Well, he goes by Ray Gianni or Ray Joni or something. Is the black guy, and you'll see this. I won't give it away because I haven't put the full clip of, but Rage, his partner, looks like Huggy Bear from Starsky and Hutch in this, and has that kind of like that old school pimp kind of look to him. And there's a lot of, it's very multicultural, right? There's white guys, there's black guys, there's Puerto Rican guys, there's Italian guys, there's the Irish guys. It's like the whole thing is very kind of, that uses anybody who wants to sort of who's good and believes in the project. And so I told him, I said, look, maybe we can do something with this. Let's let's get through episode 2 and let's see what we can do. So like, I'm working with him right now. He does works with rap artists, and he is a rapper himself too. And they've got a music video coming out. I actually used them. I don't think I'm giving anything away. So I actually used that their rap song, which is called Thought Mommy's in the Club, which is they're doing the shoot for it, but it's really actually pretty good. So like when I use it for an intro song for one of my shows, and people were eating it up. But it's that recognition of what's going on in the red pill. It's that recognition of sort of like, this is for us. And I understand what you're saying, TJ, because it's like there's almost that kind of like, oh, this is a Christian video, so it's for us, right? and I that's why I want to make it for everybody, not just the people who go, I realize that Rolo's wearing a red tie. I realize, that like they're trying to figure out like the Easter eggs in like one cameo that's like 2 minutes long.
That's very cool.
And it's great. It's encouraging, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, an example that I think Dalrock did, he noted, and when I was watching the film as well, the film Dunkirk, where there's the father figure, the guy who's in charge of the boat, and Dalrock pointed out, like, he's clearly a Christian father figure, even though he doesn't ever talk about religion. There's no religious discussions. He just gets on his boat and does his thing. But everything about him, it wouldn't shock you if that was a guy who shows up to church the next day or anything like that. Like, there's the one sailor that they pull out of the ocean. I'm not quite sure who he was, but he's just like, yeah, we got to go get the rest. And but he has like this emotional maturity. He's not freaking out. And then he chastises his son for calling the soldier a coward. He's like, you don't know what he's been through. Like, he just conveys this like energy and this vibe that you sense, but there's nothing explicitly said on that. And so I think that that's an effective way. I don't think that, and again, I don't think Christopher Nolan was thinking about that when he made the film.
Yeah.
I think that was
the script calls for a grounded character here.
Right. And so I think that he was creating a character that was very accurate of the typical Englishman at the time, because I've read a couple of books about actual people, Americans who went over to England and their experiences with Englishmen at the time. So I think that that's the interesting thing, is you pick up on values of someone without them actually having to say anything. And I think that that's the interesting thing about art, is where, like, for example, I can tell communist or socialist art from the 30s just by looking at it, because it uses this concept of socialist realism that was very popular among socialists at the time. It's a very distinct style. I don't know how to describe it, but you show it
black colors with decent edge control.
Something like that. Like, I can show you a couple of photos. Like, there's this one painting or illustration from the Irish Civil War, where it was the Republicans, not our Republicans from America, but Republicans from Ireland, where they were more on the socialist side. I can tell that it was done by a socialist just by looking at it. And so that's kind of the interesting thing about art, is it's trying to convey, a good artist knows how to convey values without having to even talk about it. That's kind of the worries, is like, we don't want the red pill to end up having its own Hallmark channel, right?
Yeah, well, and that's let me explain something. That's always a concern of mine, is to keep and this has been from day one, right? And it's always to keep on point, stay on message. And it's really hard to do that right now. And I don't think I'm giving anything away here, is that there's a lot of guys who it's too much, too young, too fast, right? They get, and that the youth thing is meaning that they came too quick, like they weren't ready for it kind of thing. So if you look at a guy like Jordan Peterson, for example, too much, too young, too fast. Now he's older than I am, but he fell into a niche that he wasn't ready to fall into. That's what I mean by too young. It happened too much, too young, too fast. And so he goes from having he was at the University of Ontario. He's making maybe six figures, maybe 100 grand a year. Maybe a little bit. He had one book out that nobody even knew about.
His Patreon was doing pretty good too.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is he fell into this because he pushed back on the narrative, right? He pushed back on the pronouns. He pushed back, and so there's video of him basically dressing down these kids at Ontario, saying, "Look, I'm not going to use your pronouns, not because I disrespect you or anything. It's just I don't believe in forced language." Right?
He didn't want to be made into law. Exactly.
Yeah. And what was funny is he became the hero that everybody wanted him to be all of a sudden. And so now he's a pronoun, crusader. No, he wasn't. He just didn't want to be told what to fucking say. That's all.
You know what's funny, Rollo, about that is like I've been doing some blog posts on my website called
keeping it brief.
and one of the things is that there are some men who drive the narrative of history, like, and people can fill in the blank. Napoleon Bonaparte, right? A guy who clearly was trying to impose his own will. Charlemagne. Okay, there are other men who are catalysts for change. They don't fully understand.
Yeah.
They didn't create the environment. They just set it up.
Was ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances.
Right. Like John McClane, right? You're the wrong man at the wrong place at the wrong time.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Right. And so I think Jordan Peterson is an example.
That's what I should have aimed for.
I think Jordan Peterson was an example of a guy who was a catalyst for something, and he didn't fully understand the context of that. And so he didn't know what to do with it. Whereas other men are the ones who are imposing their narrative because they're more assertive. They're more, for a lack of a better word, they're more alpha. They are imposing their worldview, like Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun or Napoleon Bonaparte or whoever you want to fill in the blank, who has a specific narrative that's personal to them, and they're going to impose it on a national or even international level, as opposed to someone who just said, like, people who didn't wake up the next day and they're like, yeah, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing because of something that they do. They set off a movement, kind of like, the Joker film where Joker, like, oh, you start a movement. And they're like, do I look like the kind of guy who could start a movement?
Yeah, exactly.
Peterson he fell into being dad for 50,000 people.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's exactly what I was saying. That's the niche he fell into, the Lost Boys niche. He was the dad they never had. I covered that in my fourth book, actually. And he was the perfect guy in the perfect place at the perfect time. It's not like he set out to do that. It's just that as soon as he pushed back against, fuchsia-haired lesbian feminists, wokesies, right? And suddenly he's the hero we didn't know we needed, right? And he had no idea what the hell he was doing. So he goes
completely like the rug was pulled out from under him at that point.
From making like $80,000 a year to $80,000 a month on Patreon, right?
Yeah.
And then he puts out a book, and then he does his speaking tour with Dave Rubin, and he does all this stuff, and he is just the hottest shit for about.
He's got all these young kids. Yeah, he's got all these young boys who are looking for a father figure. And
everyone's rethinking lobsters.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the thing is, he goes from being this obscure guy to suddenly, and a part of me is sympathetic. Like, he's gone from where he's not really well known to where there are thousands, perhaps millions of young men who hang on your every word. That the amount of like pressure that puts on you, like everything you say the wrong thing, somebody might make a bad mistake in their life, might make a bad life choice. And so it kind of,
one thing I'll give that guy credit for is it seems like he takes the responsibility like seriously.
I mean, he definitely conveys the sense of like he has a weight on his shoulders. I guess the point I was trying to go back to is there are men who drive the narrative of history, and then there are men who are the catalysts. And so, like in fires, which we're having a bunch of in Washington, you have your fuel and you have your catalyst. The catalyst is not primarily responsible for the fire. It's a match, a lightning strike, something like that. But that's not really why the fire occurs. It just happens to spark it. And that's kind of the point, is like some guys spark events in history, but they're not really driving it. And when people confuse that, they go after the person. And it's like, yeah, you can get rid of them. That doesn't stop what's occurring.
What's occurring.
Yeah, improper land management in California is more to do with the fires than
right.
But you know,
so the reason I brought up Peterson in the first place here is that, like, a lot of people jumped on Peterson as being red pill, right? They think, oh, he's red pill. He's carrying he's the one who's carrying the flag, right? I'm like, no. And I got into, me and Vox Day got into so much shit for calling out all this stuff that were like, I called him out because I thought he was blue pill when it came to his understanding of female nature, right? And people go, oh man, you don't have a PhD, and you know you're.
Oh no, he's very much old school, the old rules. He is very much a part of that, very much so. And so, so for me, this red pill, you're a PUA. What do you do? Great, thanks, but he, again, it's you have to be careful of how the message is conveyed, right? So when people want to say, oh, he's the new guy on the throne of the red pill, I'm like, no, he's not. He's just some guy in the right place at the right time.
Exactly.
And I saw that almost immediately. And I couldn't understand why other people couldn't see it too. But like, if you open your mouth, especially in the social media age, everybody thinks that there's a problem with you rather than their savior who's now just entered the room, right? And
well, I think a part of it is also not to like get on another topic, but it's the same thing with the previous president, and the same thing with Jordan Peterson, is that they become Rorschach tests. Whereas people look at them and they see something, and I have this concept of, like, I don't know what the right word is, but people who are a specific archetype where it's easy to see someone other than who they are, like like the idealist, like for guys, like they look at like the one-eyedest girl, they look at this girl who, she may not be actually the ideal girl, but she conveys, like, whatever it is, her demeanor, her temperament, they project their deepest desires of a woman onto this girl, and she kind of senses that, and that's why she resents it, because it's like, that's a huge burden to put on. It's like perfection or whatever. I think that happens also with men. Like we want some sort of like hero figure to follow. And so people, right, they look at like Jordan Peterson, or they look at the President Trump, or they look at whoever it is. They're looking for somebody who embodies an ideal. And there's some types of men whose personalities make that easy for people to idealize them, even if they don't deserve it. And even if there's all these obvious red flags, people don't see past it. And that's not something that's necessarily wrong with them. It's just, I think that's part of the problem, is that people, they overlook issues because they have this ideal that they're trying to put onto a specific person.
Well, right. If I can, something that kind of ties into this, although it deals more with a younger generation. My youngest son, who's 6, had swim lessons today. He has private swim lessons. So we get to the pool where the instructor is. She still has a couple of young boys ahead of him, 2 brothers. Well, I'm sitting there with my son while they're doing things, and the older of the 2 boys starts watching me. And every time he goes to do something in the pool, he's looking to make sure I'm watching him do it. So when he goes to dive off the diving board, he's watching me. And then afterwards, he comes over and he asks me what my name was. And he introduces himself to me, because I'm immediately like, well, I'm Robert, and what's your name? And he tells me his name, and we talk for a little bit, and then we move on. And I'm like, that was kind of interesting. And then my son gets in the pool, and he does everything before the instructor asks. He does more than he's ever done in any of his other swim classes. Now, what's important about this to know is, up till now, all of his swim lessons, his mother's taken him. This was the first time Dad did it. So he dived under the water longer than normal. He did challenges more than normal. He dived off the diving board for the first time ever. He swam in the deep end by himself with no floaties, trying to get to the edge while the instructor's chasing it. So all this stuff that he's never done before. And the swim instructor's like, I've never seen you do this. You've never done this before. You've never been so daring, and so on and so forth. And the whole time I'm sitting there, you know, the 50-something-year-old me versus the 21-year-old me who would have been doing this with his sons and probably never even picked up on this, is the fact that all young males look for the approval of older males, because all males want to know, where do I fit in the pack? What is my position in the dominance hierarchy? And do you approve of me? Am I doing this right? And the thing is, when we talk about, okay, we can talk and bitch about, okay, it's a gynocentric social order. The media is in it with them and against us. The news is against us. The politicians are against us. Well, we can sit here and every week we can gather together and bitch and moan about it. But what are we going to do? Well, besides producing our own art and making new art and new legends and new myths, just in our day-to-day stuff, dealing with other males, especially younger males, notice things, be aware, and be aware of the influence that you are without even realizing it.
Yeah.
And, you know, not just with your kids, but with somebody else's kids, because you never know, oddly enough, the influence you have. Because
it goes down to not what you're saying, but what you're demonstrating.
Exactly.
Your behavior.
Yes.
I've said on the show before, but there was a couple times back when our state was still on the COVID hoax lockdown. And I'd be in the grocery store. I didn't wear a mask if I didn't have to, or somebody didn't tell me to. And there'd be times where there'd be these young kids, and I don't think most of them didn't have to wear a mask for whatever reason, but they would like look up at me and they kind of smile like they knew what was going on.
Nudge,
yeah, exactly. I kind of just gave them a smile, and they kind of smirked at me too, and their parents are all muzzled up or whatever, something like that. So it's like, it's like that. I was like, okay, that's how I'm contributing to the cause. It's like giving these young kids who are completely safe from this virus, like, you know, somebody's telling them that they're not insane for thinking it's all crap at age 5.
Well, it's just amazing how much, especially those who believe that, you know, we're all the same, and it's just a matter of training us right. And if we train little boys to be more like little girls, we'll have this much better society. And it's like, sorry, watch little boys. And it's obvious. Watch little boys, watch little girls, and it's obvious that there's firmware, hardware, as Rollo uses the terminology.
Evolutionary firmware.
That's already there. And the thing that cracks me up,
package. It's your operating system.
Well, the thing is, I remember studies back in probably the late 70s, early 80s, where they put a group of little boys, all raised by, you know, mom and dads who were raising their kids to be, you know, whatever they want to be, because this is the, you know, this is the post-feminist, free to be you and me, Rosie Greer, it's all right to cry.
God, I hated that.
Oh God, I did too. But so, you know, they're putting all these boys in a room with all these Barbie dolls and girl toys, and they're putting all these girls, you know, raised by all these liberal parents, leftist parents, hippie parents, in a room filled with cars and trucks and Hot Wheels and stuff. The little girls ignored the toys, sat together in little groups, twirled each other's hair, braided each other's hair, talked to each other, and they sit around. And just like if they were sitting around outside their tribal huts with mom and aunts, you know, grinding corn against the stone or something like that. Guess what the boys were doing with the Barbie dolls? They were bending them at the waist and using them as laser guns, or they were grabbing them by the hair to use them as maces to beat each other,
their heads off,
and competing with each other, because that is what we do. We do that for a reason, because our species would not have survived this long to become this idiotic had we not developed certain traits, and had women not, you know, they talk about,
and the important, I mean, the thing that kind of goes back to that is that
It's all about fucking, Robert. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Well,
It's all
Pretty
about
much.
fucking.
well,
You know,
fighting and
Why is
fucking.
that the most
That's
A lot
what
of-
it's all about.
you,
A lot
because
of people give Freud some shit, but he was absolutely correct in certain
it's all
regards.
about the babies.
well, I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
thing is
All
though
about
is
the
that
babies.
a lot of stuff is a giant test where they say stuff, and so they want to see which I'm not. This is a theory. I could be wrong. I'm just speculating. When mothers as a collective group set rules on young boys, and there's going to be two different groups. There's going to be the boys that rebel and completely rebel against them and fight and argue, and then there's going to be the boys who comply. That's when they do like that scene from Ants where they like say, "Oh, that's a soldier ant, that's a worker ant." They're like, "Oh, this is a
Yeah.
beta, this is an alpha,
Mhm.
and we're going to treat them differently, and we're going to have different rules for the alphas and the betas." And they start doing that, and that goes with them for the rest of their lives as long as they're within that social circle or within that family group. Where when this son who's an alpha rebels, we're going to overlook it, but when the beta goes outside doesn't color within the lines, we're going to chastise him, right? Like that's kind of
I
like
can give you a little bit of insight into this, going
go
from
ahead.
a fathered home to a fatherless home and making the switch that you mentioned there. It's not, you got to give them a little bit more agency than that. They're not just looking for sexy sons or potential partners and sort of group filtering and stuff like that. There's an agency element, which is entertainment, the feeling of power and stuff like that. It's the reason, Robert, you mentioned like, oh, we have studies and stuff like that prove little boys aren't just kind of aren't blank slates. Little girls aren't blank slates. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. The
They
people
pretend
who
they
are
don't
saying
know.
those things know that, right? These people who we regard as liars are also lying when they say that stuff that we dislike. Is the point, I guess. These people are engaged in crushing people they have power over for entertainment. There's a little bit of it where if
So what you're saying is some men just want to watch the world burn.
some women want to watch that.
That too.
It's like
Enjoy the
sometimes
decline,
when I
as
get
Aaron would
uppity
say.
and stuff like that, and I say I'm gonna take my motorcycle out around the farm. I'm gonna be working the pole barn. I'm using the table saw. Don't bother me for 2 hours. It's like, wait, I don't know. Shut the fuck up. I'm using it. Leave me alone. Sometimes that's fine.
Pull out the chainsaw.
And they're doing that. They're doing that. I haven't lost any fingers yet.
The one thing I just finished I refinished the Steven Pinker's book, was it the Blank Slate, Modern Denial
Oh yeah.
of Nature. I think it's like the second to the last chapter or the last chapter of it is about art. And I thought that was really relevant to like our conversations when we were doing this thing here, because that's pretty much what we talk about. Like, I mean, like I said, last Wednesday, we were talking about, like we need to go out and create this stuff ourselves. Okay, fine. I'll go do it. I'll fly to, where do I got to go? Connecticut. Give me the ticket.
Yep.
So I went out there and I did it. Right. But then one of the things I was thinking about, like how what he goes into in that chapter there is really what we're experiencing now with sort of postmodernist art versus like classical art. Like the difference between, say, a Bouguereau painting, and if you know who I'm talking about, you know who Bouguereau, William Waterhouse is another one, but Bouguereau is another one. But like the realists that were like the most amazing painters of almost photorealism of that time, but you don't even know who they are because they were going up against like guys like Van Gogh and Picasso and all the Impressionists and Gauguin and all these other, and I know because I have a degree in history or art history as well, BFA. And so like I didn't really realize this until I started like figuring out like the reason why we have such shitty art right now. The reason why we have that freaking, what is it, rainbow butt dildo monkey that's in the news? The reason why that is considered art is because it is a denial of human nature. And so like when Robert said this and TJ said this, and when Jeffro says this about like, say Tolkien or whatever, Tolkien and the rest of them at the very least, one of the reasons why he's loved and hated is because he creates the fantasy, but he also creates a fantasy according to the context of human nature. So when you look at like Aragorn, he's a certain archetype, right? You look at Luke Skywalker, he's a certain archetype. Obi-Wan Kenobi, at least in the first movies, was a certain archetype, right? And those are a confirmation of human nature. This is the way people are. Postmodernist art says, nope, it's all socially constructed. Nope. We're all, everything subjective as a man is because society put it in your head that this is what a man should look like. And this, and we're going to just do whatever the hell we want to do. And the problem is the reason why their art sucks and the reason why wokesies keep coming back to like great franchises is because first of all, they can't insert their message into anything that they could create because they don't create anything worth watching. The reason it's not worth watching is because it's not grounded in human nature. It's not grounded in the idea that, as Robert was saying, that there are, boys will be boys and girls will be girls, right? And here now we've got more than enough empirical evidence to show that the blank slate is horseshit and has been horseshit for a long time. And not only leaning to the idea that
it's based on deceit. I mean, it's the same thing with a girl. Sorry, not to interrupt. I mean, interrupt.
But you're going to.
But he's going to, yeah.
But you're going to. Where's that goddamn? Hang on. Where's that goddamn mute button? There it is. Ah, there we go. No, go ahead. I'll go. I have a quick statement. Go ahead, TJ.
It's kind of like a girl who puts on the sun hat and is pretending to be like the ideal church girl wife that you always wanted. Guys. But it's the same thing where they go into a franchise, take it over, and they're selling something that they're not actually selling. They're trying to, what they're basing it off of is nostalgia. And it's the same thing with guys who they're thinking, oh, she's the Norman Rockwell illustrative girl next door. And it's all an illusion. It's not based on reality, because if they were actually going to sell themselves as who they actually are, it wouldn't sell. Same thing with Star Wars. Like if they were to take the same story and put it in another universe, which is what I did with the Iridium, my own novel. I took the Star Wars story and put it in my own universe because I can do that because I'm not a total cuck. But they can't do that. They can't do that because they don't understand how the story, it kind of reminds me of what Fred Reed, he was that retired Marine. He used to have his own website. He was a journalist. He said, the analogy he gave was women understand men the same way bear traps understand bears. And these people understand Star Wars the same way. They don't understand. They know it makes money. They don't understand why. And it's the same thing with all these other franchises. They know it makes money. They just don't know why.
TJ, one of the, and this goes back to the statement I wanted to make. Part of the bottom line to a lot of this stuff, this woke, progressive, social justice warrior bullshit is, if you boil it down to, let's get back to human nature, 90 to 100% of these fuckers are miserable. They're unhappy. Oh, absolutely. And the idea is, if we're unhappy, you're going to be unhappy. That just, and you look at some of these people, whether it's on their social media or you run into them in real life, and you look them in their eyes, there's just something not there. There's no effervescent spirit to these people. Okay, they're completely unhappy. They're completely miserable, and because everyone love is like is like, then everyone should everything. There's an equalism to everything. So if I'm unhappy, you have to be unhappy.
Well, I mean,
and how we do that is we come into your space, and we make you unhappy. So like us,
right? Egalitarianism.
It's a complete egalitarian. Unhappiness, correct.
The whole thing is like people obsess over being excluded who should be excluded. If you're an inferior human being, your biggest priority is ensuring inclusivity because you are an inferior human being.
Well, nature took care of that thousands of years. Nature took care of that thousands of years ago, and the problem is we've legislated ourselves into a corner that we now have to accept these people.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy a ladder, the entire length of an 18-foot ladder will be filled with different things of
warnings.
safety warnings.
Yeah, exactly. Do not do this. Do not do that. Do not touch. A perfect example is exactly what you're saying. Is one of the first ones in what you would call a frivolous lawsuit is the McDonald's heat warning on a fucking coffee cup. Really? Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
these are the people
coffee
we're
may
dealing
be hot
with
and could burn you.
So I mean, this is something I've observed is that the person interpreting a philosophy, a religion, a political belief, whatever, fill in the blank, it's important to know who that person is and what their like background is, because let's say it's some sort of a fat ass who's interpreting a nonviolent philosophy. Well, yeah, the fat ass is going to say, "Oh yeah, that's great. It makes my necessity a virtue. I'm nonviolent. Great. I'm a good person."
Well, that's nice, but there are people out there that still want to kill you.
Right. And so
that's just your nonviolent stance means
right. So having
fucking balls.
Yes. So having if some guy like Charlemagne, who slaughtered all these Saxons and all this other stuff, if he's interpreting the nonviolent,
God bless him too.
Yeah, God bless him. Philosophy, he's going to look at it differently and say, like, at the very least, he'll say, "I have the capacity to do this, but I choose not to."
Well, that's that
right.
Exactly.
With feminism, it's women who are bitter and angry because they are not attractive enough to compete with other women for the same type of guys. So their idea is make all women as ugly as me, and we will be on the same equal level.
We're going to be on the same. Yeah, exactly. We're going to be on the same plane. This way, if I'm miserable, you're miserable. We're on the same plane.
Look no different. Look no further than the whole push in the Pacific Northwest. At least
you live in the Pacific Northwest.
I know, it's a shock. No, I'm not joking. At this point, 65% of females are tattooed.
Mm-hmm.
Aren't they all single moms up there too?
All the single moms are relegated to the Pacific Northwest.
No, I'm just saying, like, that what they do is they bring down everyone down at the same level.
Well, that answers the question of where you'd like to move to. So there you go. Get the fuck out of there.
I remember older guys talking about feminism, guys from the 60s, early 70s talking about it's all ugly women trying to take away the pretty women who have a way with men, their natural abilities to do things, to say, well, I can't get this because I am unattractive, either physically or my personality. And therefore I can't get what Bridget with the nice rack and the big blonde hair gets in the office. So if we legislate this, then I can get what Bridget gets by, just the lottery draw that gave her those assets when she was,
I just want to interrupt here real fast. So Andrew is making a point. I get that, Andrew, but all right, there's hot coffee, okay, in a cup, and you spill it on you.
Forget about it.
Yeah, I can't. She's not a victim.
Hey, we got to sit down. We got to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah, there's a reason why McDonald's wanted to not settle with her, because it's fucking what we call a frivolous lawsuit.
Well,
like that's burning nerves off.
Yeah,
and that wouldn't be a third degree burn. I don't think that's actually like blackened burnt flesh. So.
If it was, I'll say this, that she was actually a victim, because I don't know how an employee fucks that up.
Well, first of all, the McDonald's was stupid to not settle with her. Like, you always settle. You never go to court. You forget it. You forget about it. Forget about it.
Forget about you, dirty whore. Yeah. You sissy.
We're gonna have to do some like fucking 1920s like gangbusters like video.
Right, it's a fucking prohibition era gangster. Yeah, see.
Yeah, we're gonna settle on a court.
Andrew, I agree. I agree. All warning labels should be taken away, because that's part of.
Well, dude, talking about warning labels, Angel's Landing. Explain that to me.
The fuck is Angel's Landing?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, we need Karen Clary. We need
No, we don't.
Karen Clary.
Oh God,
No, we don't.
do
don't
not
need Karen.
summon.
We don't
Do
need
not
Karen.
summon the Kraken rum.
We do not-
Unleash
don't
the
need-
Kraken. No, Angel's Landing. You got to Google that. Atham, look it up.
Look that shit up.
It's this
Karen Clary, where are you? Get in,
Yeah.
mug.
He's probably
Get in
texting
here,
his
you
wife,
lousy mug.
Honey, do I have permission to go on Masculine Geek?
You made that one meme that was pretty funny. Yeah. Have to revive that one.
Dude, I've got like 20 just in reserve if he ever decides to launch
Man,
a
this place
full.
is gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, it's I'm really happy with the trailers so far. We're just doing like little teasers. They're all not even more than like 40 seconds right
Well,
now.
how long is the actual movie?
Okay, so they're episodes, right?
Oh, episodes.
They're-
Okay,
so
gotcha.
it's more of like a Netflix kind of series kind of thing right now, and they're in
Funny.
I believe they're in season 1 right now, and I think this is the second episode or something. Maybe it's season 2. Anyway, so multiple seasons, and they're putting out episodes. That's the idea, anyways. And it's just, again, it's a comedy thing, so it's not meant to be taken totally seriously. But as TJ has illustrated here, is that there's going to be guys who are going to be sort of like Christians who are getting the Christian message. Oh, this is for us,
Oh yeah.
There's also the element that is we're trying to. The reason why I want to do this, I get into something different. I want to get into some. I put my money where my fucking mouth is. Right. I keep
Exactly.
telling you guys that you want to make $1 million. Write Han Solo. Write Captain Kirk. Write. Push back against the narrative. Push back against this bullshit.
TJ and I are working on it.
That's
Yes.
how popular it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Instead of like trying to encourage guys to go make $1 million by pushing back the narrative, why the fuck am I not doing it? Okay, fine, I'll go do it. I can
Create a new narrative.
I've taken a few improvisational classes, improv classes. You guys don't know this about me. I did Shakespearean stage acting for a while.
Talking about that on our first episode.
Yeah,
Our first
I did.
interview with you, yeah.
I couldn't remember a line now, but I played the lead role in Macbeth at one point. So yeah, when Kevin hit me up, he says, "Have you ever done any acting?" I'm like, "Yeah, yes, I have." So it wasn't a big deal for me to go out there and do it and just sort of like slip into character, but I thought it was fun. It was a fun thing, but but more so, it's something I could sink my teeth into, and again, like put my money where my mouth is.
Well,
Exactly.
Plus you can hit your mark pretty easy when you're sitting in a chair or a bar stool.
That
so,
too.
So that's always nice.
Like,
Yeah, thank you, by the way, for really like grabbing that guy's jacket. A lot of stunt acting gets like really limp, and you feel like it's not working.
Let me tell you.
Like,
Let me
grab that guy's jacket and shove the gun in. I'm like, oh, he might actually.
You want to lose complete faith in humanity here. So I was at this bar, a great bar, by the way. It's called 585 Main, and it's in Naugatuck, Connecticut.
Connecticut, see?
Great freaking place. Awesome. Like live music. They got live venues inside and outside. It's really, really cool place. But so we're there at like 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, and we have to be there because they open up at like 11. So we gotta get done, as quick as we can. So we're there, and we're shooting the scenes, and I'm taking pictures, and I happen to take a picture of the gun. Right now, if you know anything about me, I have guns. I do. I've got an AR. I've got a 9mm. I got some other stuff, but I never.
You sure they didn't fall off a boating accident?
They are actually. They're at the bottom of Lake Tahoe right now. Yeah. But I never post pictures of them on Instagram. I never post pictures of my weapons anywhere. Period. Just what I do, right? But so I happen to take a picture of this plastic gun that looks like a real gun. It's a prop gun, is what it is. It's supposed to look good, right? And so I took a picture of it, and I go, oh, that's kind of cool. I'm going to put that up on Instagram because it's a prop, right? It's not like it's a real gun. And I even flipped it over, and I took a picture of the little thing that says "Made in China." And you can see it's printed on the thing. What do you think happened?
You caught shit from that.
Yeah, what do you think the first thing that happened is like, oh, you don't know how to use that kind of weapon. That's a 1911.
Now you're doing this
trigger discipline.
You're doing all this, that, and the other thing
and I'm
wrong.
like,
yeah.
And I'm like, and literally there's only 2 pictures. One of the gun and one of the gun flipped over with "Made in China" pressed into it in plastic.
Jesus
like,
Christ.
Son,
That'll learn you. Stop posting that shit.
7 in the morning, I'm looking at the responses to the Instagram post, and I'm like, son of a bitch, you know. And so, and because people are that literal and that anal and that autistic
you just pulled out all the gamma males. Yeah.
Well, you don't know much about guns because that's a prop, you dumbass.
You dumb
Maybe
son
the
of a
billionaires
bitch.
are right. Maybe most of these people are just spare kidneys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're a waste of good carbon is what they are.
They're good at
Brain's not
converting.
good. Kidneys might be okay. Hearts
And
might
They're
be
good at converting
I left
oxygen
it
to
up.
carbon dioxide.
I left it up because it's like it's a lesson and all that. So what's funny to me is like 90% of people got what I was doing. Right?
Mhm.
Oh, he's doing a cameo. He's doing this thing. Oh, it looks good. Oh, it's fun. Oh, look at it. It's fun, right? Have some fun. Have a sense of humor. It's like I don't want to have to post a meme of like the penguins from Madagascar going, "It's a joke. It's a joke." You know, like,
Exactly.
they understand.
Smile
what
wave,
it
boys.
is.
Smile
Yep.
wave.
And it is the level of like autistic literalism that is online right now. It's like
that's
it's
what the
insane.
millennials-
That's about 80% of Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
So,
Prentice has like pointed out, like, you know, he does stuff where he
Bergs and retards.
Yeah, exactly. Where he's like, he has a painting or illustration, baboon by sunset, and people are like, "What does it mean? What does it mean?" He's like, "It
Doesn't fucking mean anything, you dumb son of a bitch.
I know.
Our
We
blue
have
is
lost
what I meant by that sentence.
we have lost all sense of allegory, metaphor, sarcasm,
And nuance. There's no nuance.
there's no
whatsoever.
nuance. There's no subtlety. There's
There's
no
no
understanding of
playful banter.
context.
no.
And here's the
there's
problem.
no,
Here's
like,
the problem. This goes back to everything we started this with, especially when it comes to creating our own narrative.
yes.
Rollo, you mentioned that you're worried about
Thank you for bringing it around.
people bringing I don't know, slapping red pill over a brand and saying, "Give me money." That's fantastic marketing because there's a bunch of people who are going to do it. If I market, I just got approval for Eyes of the Forest issue 2. Sarah and G and I are gonna start putting that out. I could market that all over the fucking place as boys adventure, no women in the comic, red pill, fighting action, stuff like that. And I would get a bunch of money for it, but it would be like this. It would be like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything? You know,
background music.
What, you don't want to be known as making the MGTOW comic? I mean, you don't
No,
want
I
to
don't
be
want to be
that
known as making that comic.
Yeah, I mean, gee,
I'd rather not make money than do
slap
that.
MGTOW on anything and they'll buy it right now.
I know they will.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll.
So that's the problem with creating your own narrative, though. Is you're not, unless you're hooked in. Rollo, you're hooked in. You got this Kevin guy seems pretty hooked in. He's got 4 brothers,
Mhm.
bunch of volunteers. They look pretty good. I like that girl's reaction at the bar.
Yeah.
Instead of like doing the screen thing, she kind of like drops the glass and like pauses, goes back, pauses for a second. Pretty good acting.
Yeah.
He's a volunteer. He's hooked in with those people.
Yeah.
If you're not hooked in with those people, you don't really have access.
He's got really good post production. He shoots everything. Like he's got a crew of like his brothers, but also like he's got a crew of guys who are actually doing the shooting. They're doing the sound and everything else, but they're not doing anything that's really more complicated than what I have in the studio right now. They're using an A6400 for like their primary shoot. They're just using a very expensive lens, which is what I have here too. But it's but the whole the production value, and here's a dirty little secret about Hollywood right now is you can get that good a level of like production value on a camera that might cost you under $2,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you have to have the will, you have to have the creativity. That's the thing. People lack the creativity. They lack the drive. They lack the creativity. They don't know what to do. They've got all this all these toys that can, what is it? What do you bring your vision to life?
There's no vision.
No one has any stories. That's why I was attracted to these guys. I'm like, these guys have a story. They want to put something out there. They actually have they're, by the way, they all have day jobs too. They're not.
No, I believe it.
Well, there's definitely an underground movement like that as far as that whether it'll make a new Hollywood or something like that, I don't know. But there's definitely some people out there trying to do something independent, and obviously
we talked about that with Kamran Pasha. He was on. Remember that, TJ?
He's muted. He
TJ
must be away.
But
I mean, the quality's all over the place as far as good, bad, and otherwise. But I mean, it's come a long way from my days in elementary school and junior high of making 8mm and Super 8 movies that we had to try and film and take the
Super
film
8.
and scratch to do special effects for lasers and stuff like that. I mean,
oh man,
a home computer and a really nice phone can do better than what we did.
You could make a movie on your fucking iPhone
back in the 1970s and 80s.
Exactly that right now, and I'll tell you why. I use Premiere and I can use After Effects. You name it, I've probably used it. I've used Photoshop since 1993. So I know what I'm doing when it comes to like video production, when it comes to print production, when it comes to web production. I have all of those technical skills. And so when it's funny, we should talk about this because this is exactly what I told Kevin. I said, within like the next couple of years, you'll be able to put together a Marvel movie quality film just based on templates that are already prepared for you. Like right now, they have I saw this. It's for Premiere actually. I was surprised. I thought it might be for After Effects, but it's for Premiere, and it's just a series of special effects that you can drop in any video you want to. Hell, you could do it on your cell phone half the time on some of these things. Yeah. But they sell them and they're all of like $40 for a pack.
I see those advertisements on Instagram all the time. Yeah.
And it's like laser effects from Star Wars, the sounds from Star Wars, the smoke effects, everything, you name it. You can probably put together a pretty decent sci-fi.
The Wilhelm scream
with a cell phone and like decide that it's the desert planet out here and the sagebrush is like alien territory. You could easily do a Star Trek series, kind of like
that's the Lizard Man Star Trek episode. Yep.
The Gorn.
Yeah,
the Gorn is awesome.
And I love that.
And as funny as that is,
arena. Because I'm a geek and know that stuff.
It gets back to a very serious topic, which is nobody has any creativity. We have all these toys. It's never been easier to be a filmmaker. Clearly, it's never been easier to be an actor either. Imagine me going and saying, you know what, I'm going to be an actor today. So I got to go to an agency. I got to get somebody to get me a bit in a commercial, and you got to work your way up and everything. Fuck that. I'm going to go make it myself, put it on YouTube, and I'm going to make more money and be a bigger star, or I'm going to get to a point where more people are going to know me or going to see me because I put myself out there, then rather than waiting around for some talent scout to go, oh yeah, we think we want you as a bit part in this commercial somewhere.
Well, it helps though that
do it yourself.
You've got some advantages though in that you have established yourself, in that you are your own brand. So, I mean, that helps to make you more marketable, but you're right. And the thing is, as someone said in the chat, men are risk averse. And I can understand that to a certain degree, because when I screwed up so many opportunities, but guess what? No, 'cause I was 21, married, 2 kids. I was doing the dad thing. I was working, I was working an office job during the week, radio on the weekends. I was in the reserves by that point in time. I was doing all the things by the old ways I was supposed to do to be a man. Missed a lot of opportunities, didn't take the risk, because doing that meant possibly sacrificing the security and the income of my family. I'm in my 50s. The end of my race is right down the road. Whether it's 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, I don't know. Guess what? I get an email from someone in Germany. Hey, will you come to our con and be a guest? I'm going to Germany.
Sign me up.
Hey, will you come to PAX and be our booth actor in our booth and play your character from this game to promote our video game? I'm there. It's just how it is. I get hey, can you do me a favor and cut a 30-second spot for a local ad for our station? Yeah, I'll do it. Yep. And that's the thing. I've got to, and I still catch myself. Saying no, because it's easy to say no, but it's like, you can't. You've got to say yes. The opportunity happens. You have to say yes. You have to. Because even if you have to take that risk,
Robert,
and the thing is, you've got to make the opportunities for yourself.
Yeah. Have you ever seen
$2,000? Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever seen Have you seen Henry Rollins when he's interviewed about like how did you get successful? How did you get into so many different things? He's a singer for Black Flag, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's an actor. You know, Henry Rollins is, and he said exactly the same things. He says, "You know how I did it?" I said, "Yes to everything."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hey, do you want to be in a commercial? Yes. Do you want to go work out and be and be in weightlifting? Yes. Do you want to be the singer of this band? Yes. Mm-hmm. And it didn't matter what it was, even if it sucked for him. He's like, okay, well, I know I don't want to do that now. But he said the reason, where he got where he was is just by saying yes to everything that came his way and just up and doing it. And I wish that there was a time in my 20s where I was doing exactly the same thing. I would have done anything. I was just like, oh, yes, let's go. And yes, I've been on TV back in '93 at least twice. I think it's still published. And it was just doing stuff. And and the times that I started stagnating was when I started saying no. Mm-hmm. And so, and I feel you, Robert, because I'm 53. And when I see
I am too. I was 68, right?
Yeah. When I see myself in this clip, I go, fuck, I look every bit of 53. Right. Mm-hmm. But then I go, well, yeah, that's because that's what I was trying to do. Right. I was trying to, I actually started a week out so I could grow like sort of 5 o'clock shadow. So I look more like Mike from Breaking Bad.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You always grow out the facial hair because you can always cut it off for the part. Yeah. You can't grow it overnight.
Or when people expect me to be like some like overweight, like kind of, pudgy 60 some odd years old. And then they see me and I'm, I work out. I work out. Right. And I'm standing next to these guys who are 25 and I'm holding my own against guys who are still 25 as far as physicality is concerned. And I'm like, to me, it's no big deal. Like, I don't look at Kevin as like, oh, he's 25. He's as young. Well, my daughter's 23, right? He's 25. So I could just simply say, well, let me give you some fatherly advice. No, fuck that. What's the project we're working on? What are we doing? I don't care if you're 25 or you're 55. You're a man. I'm a man. Let's do something. Let's get something started. Let's what's the project? Let's do it. Because like you said, when you get to a certain age, you're like, you can see sort of, you go, what do I want to do before the time is up, right? Before we're over. And I mentioned that to Kevin too. I said, I want to make sure that I'm doing some stuff before, I told myself I don't have much time left. And I think he thought maybe I was like saying like, oh, I have cancer or something.
Yeah.
No. I'm looking at the end of the tunnel here. And there's things that I want to do. And I'm finally in a position where I have the skills to do those things. I have the money, I have the skills, and I see this in such a way. In fact, I'm looking around me going, why are there not more people doing more shit? Because I'm not, I mean, I'm doing some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. But like, I'm not even like up to where I think my potential could be at 53 years old. And I'm looking at guys who are like 45, 35, 25, and they're doing jack shit. I'm like, get the fuck up, go and do it. It's never been easier. It's like, you ever read, we were talking about Robert Greene a little while ago. Robert Greene, Mastery is a fantastic book. And that's the first thing in the introduction of that book. He's like, it's never been like the barrier to entry to becoming a master at something has never been lower in the history of mankind. Yet we're sitting around jerking off to, whatever.
Oh my God. You can get something from the National Endowment of the Art for your masterpiece, which is a ball jar filled with urine and a crucifix in it. And you can get government money.
You can.
And you can do that in the 90s.
Yeah. So I just want to throw out,
because I need funding. And
but I want to throw out one thing where they talk about like the on paper, on the surface, opportunities have never been greater. In practicality, those same people are. The context is they spent 20 years in an environment that has conditioned them to not take advantage of that. And that's the problem. It's like, this is one of the problems with a lot of people who talk about like, oh, well, liberty and all this. It's like, okay, you got to deal with an entire, like, it's kind of like, not to use not to get into religion or whatever, but like, Moses takes the entire nation of Israel from slavery to the promised land. It's this promised land. And they're like, yeah, we should go back to slavery. It's like, okay, we got to kill off the entire generation that has known slavery. And we need a whole generation of people who've never known what it's like to be under the chains of slavery before we can go in there, because that's all they know. And so that's the problem.
Dying.
Yeah.
You've ruined my childhood.
I do not want to believe that.
And so it's like it's the same
That's
problem with
funny.
like kids who've been in public schools their whole lives. Like that's all they know, and that's all
Yep.
they're ever going to know. And
It keeps getting reinforced by what they're coming
yeah, and
across
so
in
it's
society.
like-
Yeah.
it's like even when you show them freedom, it's so scary. They're like,
Well,
Take
freedom.
it back.
It is
Freedom
scary.
with freedom comes to be free. There's a responsibility that
Yes.
comes with freedom,
Right.
Yeah.
And you
and
can't
a lot
be
of people are
free.
just like, no, I don't want to do that.
H.L. Mencken had many choice words to describe that. Like
Yes, he did.
most men do not want to be free. They want to have someone.
They want someone
Tell them
telling
what-
them what to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a lot easier to be. That's that scene in one of the Avengers movies where Loki's like there stealing the scepter, and he's like, I'm taking the burden away from you. All you have to do is kneel. Just
Yeah.
And the
kneel.
one,
Yeah, I
and the
remember
one,
that.
and the one
Yeah.
crowd, the one
Yeah.
crowd has to be like, there will always be men like you,
Mhm.
which is true.
Yeah.
Men like me, baby.
That's right.
And
There will always be men like you. And then Captain America shows up, and then of course Iron Man shows up playing Shoot to Thrill and just starts kicking ass. I love
right.
Yeah.
Because if you got a really boss sound system in your personal body armor, you want to be able to crank
Isn't
ACDC.
it interesting? Isn't it interesting that like Loki
Favorite
has
theme music.
all the villains always have the most like poignant lines in that shit. Like, I mean, obviously there's a Joker thing, but like even when, and I didn't even think about it at the time because they wanted something melodramatic, like all these people get on their knees in Germany and
All they needed to be was professional football players, and they'd have dropped down to their knees, real quick, quicker than a porn star giving a blowjob.
Well, what I thought was funny is like
While
that,
you're down there,
when was that movie? When did that movie come out? That was like 2013, 2014,
something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
So back then, the message was like, here's a Hitler and here's these guys kneeling for the tyrant kind of thing,
Mhm.
right? And then in 2020, when you see the Democrats on a knee with their kente cloth and everything else that they're doing, and it reminded me of that. I went back and I looked at that and I go, damn, that was like exactly what Loki was talking about in that freaking movie. And now, in the context of this era, like where we're at in 2021, something like that, that has a whole new meaning.
Oh,
It's no longer that melodramatic kind of like Captain America is here to save the day. It's now like, yeah, he was right. This is your natural position. This is exactly what you will do. You need a guy like me,
the thing I keep trying to
will be.
The thing I keep trying to tell people when they talk about this, and whether it's religion, politics, whatever, it's like you have to be able, when people try to force you to do something, you have to be willing to say no, because slaves cannot say no. They cannot, which is odd considering we were just talking earlier about saying yes to things, but saying yes to opportunities, but being able to say no to demands or commands is the sign of any free man. And the other thing you've got to accept is the fact that ultimately you have to be willing to stand alone. If you were lucky, if you were incredibly lucky, you will have a family member or a friend that will stand at your side. But if you can psychologically prepare yourself, I will stand alone when the mob comes for me because I am not woke enough, or I will not bend the knee and get rid of my ad guy on Twitter like the new TSR apparently did, and bend the knee to the mob, which I find funny because in doing that, they've alienated the people that would have loved and supported them to appease the people that were never going to support them to begin with.
Well, their monetary fan base are alienating.
Yeah.
It doesn't make from a fiscal standpoint, it makes absolutely no fucking
none
sense.
at all.
None.
But if you can psychologically prepare yourself that I am going to be honest, I'm going to say this is what I think. I think men are men and women are women. I am surprised at the number of women that, despite whatever they say about wanting to be strong and independent, they want you to tear off their clothes, spank their behinds, and tell them to go make you a sandwich after ravishing your body. Yes, I know. And they are much happier than living in the apartment with the bras and panties
Kiki.
on the floor, reeking of cat urine, drinking their box wine. And guess what? That probably lost me a job with one of the game companies over in Europe by saying that when they find this clip, because I've already gotten some acquaintances of mine who have noticed my appearances here on the Masculine.
So you're saying Magic the Gathering players smell like cat piss?
Oh God, yes.
I agree.
Yeah. But the point is, if you're willing to stand alone, it's like, look, when the mob comes for me, I'm not expecting any allies. I'm willing to stand alone. There's the old expression about be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid, or allies will arise to you. Bernard, trying to think, he was a theologian and philosopher. But anyway, the point is, if you're willing to stand alone and face the mob on your own, you may get lucky and have people stand at your side when the mob comes to string you up, or you stand on your own and you don't go down easy, you go down swinging. And guess what? There's a very good chance that, have you ever watched videos of Antifa in a fist fight? They hit with limp wrists, like
it's pretty fucking gay.
Yeah. So,
You are failing us.
yes.
I mean,
Yes,
basically.
yes. Your parents failed you by not sending your little ass to school and letting you run around and be a celebrity. Well, yeah, of course it could be worse. Keeping you out of school might actually be the best thing to help you for an education.
I was really hoping Jack Napier was going to show up. I actually fronted him the link and he didn't show up because I have this.
Hey everybody, I'm from Holland. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. He has a standing invitation to it too.
You have to require him to show up next time saying exactly that.
Well, here's the issue. It's really early in the morning for him, and he's being a lazy fuck, and he's still sleeping.
I can't blame him. I wouldn't get up either. Guys, I got to roll. All right, I will see you guys later. This has been fun.
Absolutely.
I will be on my channel. Well, actually, I'm doing I'll have a recorded thing tomorrow that I'm releasing. And no, it's not about the cameo. Thank you very much. And then let's see, Friday, I'm going to have Kevin Savo on my Savo. I'm sorry, I'm butchering your name. It's only 4 letters. I will have Kevin Savo on my show on Friday as an interview. So and
you'll be on Saturday, the private Zoom with us.
Yeah,
3 p.m.
Yep.
And new live show Sunday. Are you back Sunday?
I'm back Sunday. I am actually going on a sort of a vacation. I'm going up to Lake Tahoe, and I'm taking my wave runners up there finally.
Nice.
You're going to look for your guns at the bottom of the lake.
You don't take any photos of your guns.
Yeah.
No. I'm going to go search for them. I'm going to scuba dive down and see if I can find my guns at the bottom of Lake Tahoe.
There you go.
No, I've got a really nice place that I rented out, and I'm going to be there for a week. But I'm probably going to do some video while I'm there. I can't not do video while I'm there and try to convince me how cool I am. So
cool.
I'm gonna go turn into a 15-year-old high school girl and put everything on Instagram. So, all right, guys, cool. I will see you guys later and Saturday. All right, brother. See you Saturday. Yeah, you dirty whore.
Okay, now that he's gone, what do we want to say bad about him?
Well, this was fundamentally, I don't care what we talk about.
Not for nothing.
And fundamentally, it's always a good time, always a good talk whenever you guys are here. So, what do you want to talk about next? We got. I'll let us run for a little bit. You have a follow up, James? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a follow up to what Robert says. So, Robert, everything that you said, I admire it and stuff like that. I admire the willingness to stand alone and stuff like that. On the off chance that anybody watching this who fits into this classification is listening. Anybody under 30, you can't follow that advice. Instead, be a bad guy. Be a bad guy. Take advantage of these people. Take their money. Take their stuff. I alluded to this earlier.
Take their women.
Take their women, definitely. Vegan pool parties.
Hide your wife. Hide your kids.
And take their rum.
I'm coming.
Don't take the rum.
Their money. Like my pronouns are he, him today. Ask me again tomorrow.
Are you if you're a she or an it, are you a shit?
Shit, maybe tomorrow.
You're a shit. You're total.
Thursday is my
Thursday,
schedule.
you're total shit. Yes.
No. Like, take advantage of these people. Take advantage, because
no, I get what you're saying.
Stuff actually fund your shit, unless you're connected. So if you're connected, you could do stuff like that. But unless you're connected, don't.
Yeah.
You want to read? You want to read or something like that? Don't fucking talk about, oh, well, men and women are different. Everybody fucking knows. Everybody.
On a fundamental gut level, we all know. It's
on a conscious level. On a conscious level, All of these people know. You don't have to go through the thing of like, oh, well, men are better than women at sports. Nobody needs to fucking explain that.
Yeah.
Nobody.
No, that's what I'm saying. On a fundamental gut level, we all know these things.
No, consciously, that is in the front of their head as they look at these athletes on camera. Don't talk about it if you're younger than 30. Don't open your.
In fact, if you're younger than 30, don't talk about anything. We don't want to hear you. Yeah,
grab the shit. Move.
James, you want to read the goddamn Bacon's comment?
Yeah, and I've got an
new
answer
topic:
for it.
fast casual dining. Go.
There you go.
I have a woman that makes me sandwiches, and I'm being completely serious. The day of the Women's March, Women's March, I come downstairs in the late morning, early afternoon, and my paramour, the first thing out of her mouth is, "Would you like something to eat?" And I'm like, "Certainly." And a young lady that we had staying with us for the time asked me if I'd like her to make me a cup of tea. And we're not talking about putting a bag of the stuff they sweep up off the floor in a tea bag.
That's like boiled pencil shavings.
We're talking about actually taking the leaves, putting it in a strainer.
Exactly, the strainer. And the tea ball.
On the day of the Women's March, I'm sitting on the couch in a shirt and in a pair of shorts and a wife beater, with one lady making me something to eat and the other one making me a fresh cup of tea. So, gentlemen, that's my favorite go-to casual dining. There you go, Bacon.
Absolutely. But he's talking about outside where you actually go out into public.
Oh, that's okay. I go to a restaurant. I stand there in the back kitchen and she makes me a sandwich. Hey, on something geek related.
Yes, please.
Any of you guys familiar with Castles and Crusades by Troll Lord Games?
Yep, I'm familiar.
Any thoughts? Any thoughts about it?
Was that post 2nd edition or post 4th edition?
I am not sure. I managed to get this and a lot of other stuff. I'll probably post a picture of this up on my Twitter and Instagram
Castles and
later.
Crusades has been around for a while.
Yeah, it's been around. And I guess they've done multiple printings, but not necessarily new editions. So essentially the game is the same, if my understanding of it's correct. It looks interesting. It looks rather fun. I like it. And who's asking about the poster?
You're talking about the Doc Savage
poster?
The
Doc Savage. Yeah.
That's Doc Savage. That's definitely pre-Bond. That's 1933.
I've got a Moonraker poster hanging up in the other room. So there's no way in hell anyone can see that.
Moonraker.
No one can see any of the movie posts. I mean, I got 7 samurais hanging up over there.
Behind me is the Sanctified print I did. The one I did.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about Doc Savage. Shut the fuck up.
Doc Savage is not. No, he was talking about
fucking Christ.
Well, with no Doc Savage, we wouldn't be able to talk about any of this other stuff.
Exactly, because Doc Savage predates Superman. I mentioned this before, the whole Fortress of Solitude. Everyone's like, oh, it's Superman. No, assholes, it's Doc Savage. Thank you very much.
How old is Doc Savage? Like, when did that come out?
It was conceived in the late 20s, early 30s. Yep.
Someone, Dynamite Comics a few years ago did a Green Hornet Zorro.
The video. Oh, hang on. The video background. The video. I do. Here's the thing with that.
Oh.
Robert E. McGinnis was a pulp artist, and he did a lot of the Bond books. This book in particular, and it's one that I own. And the name is escaping me at the moment. It was written in like 1963. He did this cover for. It's pissing me off that I can't think of the name because I have the book. And the book's expensive. I was surprised. I paid almost $100 for it. I'm like, oh shit, it's worth it just for the cover. The book itself is it's so. But yeah, the artwork is Robert E. Everyone right now who's watching and listening at a later time, write this down. I'm tired of fucking repeating myself. Not really. I like the sound of my voice. So Robert E. McGinnis. Write that fucking shit down. You can go buy the artwork. I don't know if you can buy what's on the background, but he's done a lot of westerns, gothic romance in the late 60s, early 70s. He's done detective. He's done a lot of Bond Bond movie posters, and he's done the covers for the pulp novelizations. So yes, Robert E. McGinnis. Go look him up now. Do it. You will not regret it. There you go.
This guy's like the Frazetta of spy paintings.
Yeah, well, not just. I mean, we're talking about spy paintings now because that was a comment, but he's really the Frazetta of the pulp era.
I'm not sure if that's one of the ones I've got or not. My Bond books are all in the other room, and they're all
I'll show you.
books.
Here's another one that he did. He did this one. This is a Bond one. It's kind of hard to say. It's TJ. What's that one where he's in Japan?
You only live twice.
There you go. And he did this
once
one. This
when
was
you are born, and once when you look death in the face.
There you go. This one's a Western. There's a guy that's underneath Robert's icon, and between Robert and James, he's pointing a Colt pistol at some Indians. Then there's this one. This is a Bond photo. It's a woman giving a massage, and James Bond, which is Sean Connery, is holding a pistol. Now you're going to find a lot of these pulp novels around the time. You're like, wait a minute, that looks like Sean Connery or Steve McQueen or a lot of different other actors. Around that time, actors and actresses, their visuals, their photos were not copyrighted, so you could rip them off. You could actually use their countenance in illustrations and not get penalized for it. So that shit came later. Then there's this one. This one's the Odd Couple. Felix sitting on a recliner amidst some garbage, reading and smoking a cigar. You can't see it because everyone is blocking the view. I'll post them up maybe on Masculine Geek Life. But if you go Robert McGinnis, in fact, hang on. Let's delve into Robert. Let's delve into Robert.
Oh no,
and not you, Robert. Sorry to
good.
disappoint you. Yeah, we're not going to delve into you.
I appreciate that.
Exactly. So we're not going to delve into you.
I mean, I'd have cleaned back there if that was the case.
That's right. So let's go over to Robert McGinnis. Let's share this shit. Everyone can see that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, there we go. So Robert E. McGinnis. This is the official webpage. These are the kinds of. This is the actual book, The Art of Robert E. McGinnis. I do own that. That's fantastic. I suggest you buy it. It's a great coffee table book. It's great for conversation. And we want to go to his artwork. If you want to buy prints, let's go to movie posters. There's some of the movie posters. You did Breakfast at Tiffany's, James Bond. There's the one at the top right here. Yeah, You Only Live Twice, where he's surrounded by Japanese women being bathed in the massage, as well he should. There's the
Thunderball one. I've actually got that cover on Thunderball.
There you go. There you go, The Odd Couple. These are fantastic. He did this movie by Woody Allen, Sleeper. That's Woody Allen's older shit is really good. Go check that out. You'll like that. Now this guy on the right down the bottom with the chick, and he's kind of behind her, kind of goofy. That's not James Coburn. Anyway, Robert E. McGinnis used his face without permission of the actor. You could do that back then. It didn't matter. So let's go over to book covers. So there you go, the James Bonds. There's the Thunderball one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the edition I have.
Yeah. These are all the old. Now, I've mentioned this before in newsletters. I've mentioned it on Masculine Geek many, many times. Abe, A-B-E, books, all one word.com. You can get a lot of these pulp novels there. Are some of them expensive? Yes. Are some of them worth it? Yes. Read these. You want masculine writing?
Funny how a Murder for Me. What does it say?
Murder for Nichols.
Murder for Nichols. Okay, that's based off of two separate art or illustrations. One is it's Lauren Bacall back during the war when he was posing on the piano for Harry Truman when vice president.
Yep.
And Humphrey Bogart ended up hooking up with her after.
You can see he looks like Humphrey Bogart, but he didn't have to pay. He didn't have to pay for that.
During the film, To Have and Have Not, were like, I'm sorry, but like, if they weren't hooking up during that film, it wouldn't have been a film. Like there'd been nothing going on because the story was not actually sound. So I thought that art was very interesting because like contextually, if you don't know the context, you're never going to appreciate that scene. But it's like, because people who know what's going on is like, oh, this is a combination of a 1943 photo.
Well, that's why it's good. And I've always mentioned this about the creative spark. It's really good for you guys to things that you have an interest in, even a passing interest, is to delve into the artist, the writer, their background, and like TJ's talking about, get the context. Now, many of these book covers, a lot of the illustrations that Robert E. McGinnis have done, I've actually this Murder for Me for Nichols, this background I've just ordered. You can order them. There are many for sale, so. Not all of them, but as you can see, they're his women. He really had a handle on beauty. He had a handle on the female form. His stuff is just completely iconic. You can pull it out of a lineup once you know who it is. It's forever burned in your memory. These are magazines. This is some of the gothic stuff and the slice of life kind of shit.
I like the photo on the far left. That photo right there. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, she's completely into him.
I was like, dude, just yeah, dude, just take it all the way.
That's right. Go with it. Go with it, you son of a bitch. Let's see, gallery art and personal projects.
Yeah,
these are good.
If you don't have a kid with her in 9 months, you failed.
These landscapes are really cool. Like this, see the Stampede. He looks like John Wayne. He didn't pay John Wayne for that, but he used his visage for it. Look at that. It's very evocative.
Yeah, those are great photos.
They're illustrations. They're illustrations. They're not photos. They look like photos, but they're not. Yeah. They're all illustrations. So we can buy prints. Let's see. Hang on. Where the fuck? There used to be a link. God damn it. Let's see. Hang on. Fuck that. Okay, Princess Diana. Okay. Let's see, movie posters. Let's see if it's down there somewhere. There used to be a link for this stuff. Might be on art. If you go to art.com, you may be able to find some of it there. I'll see if I can post something. I'll throw it in the show notes. But that's Robert E. McGinnis, folks. Go check out his work. Robert, you mentioned what's his face? Oh, why? I'm definitely getting old because I can't fucking think of the goddamn name. He did the Conan posters and whatnot. A lot of covers of fantasy. Frank Frazetta. There we go. He has, and his daughters run it where he lived. He had a bit of a ranch out in Pennsylvania near the Poconos, not too far from Hawley, PA. He has there's a museum out there. I want to get a Masculine Geek road trip out there. Grab James, get him out of the fucking house. Go out to and maybe do an interview with the daughters.
I love Jane. Dude, Sarah Frazetta is fucking awesome.
Yeah, he is. Fuck. He and Boris Vallejo.
No, I said Sarah Frazetta.
Sarah Frazetta. Oh, Sarah Frazetta. Yeah, she's good too. She's good in her own right as well. And she runs part of the museum.
She runs Frazetta Girls specifically. I think it is.
Oh, Thunderball. There you go. Is that a reprint or a original?
This one is a 26 printing from 1961.
Nice.
Unfortunately, a lot of my other Bond books are from the 50s, so they
TJ, that one I got you as a gift. Where is that? Which one? I forget. Which one is that?
It's From Russia with Love.
That's right. And that's another.
That was JFK's. I mean, frankly, John F. Kennedy is the reason why Bond possibly got noticed because all the books prior to that, they did well in the UK, but they didn't do well in the United States. And then JFK mentioned From Russia with Love as one of his top books.
Oh, I remember you talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did for that what Reagan did for Hunt for Red October for Tom Clancy.
Right. And so, that's why the second book, I mean, he was just showing Dr. No. I think Dr. No was one of the best, and I've read all of Fleming's books.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. No was one of the best that I've read, but I think From Russia with Love was actually probably the best out of all the books.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why they picked that one as the second, which is funny because that's the one that preceded Dr. No.
Mm-hmm.
Because that film in the book, the Russian agent, whatever her name is, she's trying to kill Bond, and Bond's Beretta jams, and they're like, "Okay, we're getting you with the Walter PPK because we can't have your gun jamming on you."
Right. Hey, Geeky Anomaly, I think was his name, in the chat was mentioning the Parker books by Richard Stark that Darwin Cook did. He did covers. He's done covers for the books before he died, but he also did 4 comic adaptions, which I highly recommend. I posted pictures of all 4 of the hardcover, but it's the first 4 books that he did comic adaptions for, which are really good. They're available or were available in hardcover and softcover. And also there was this really nice oversized deluxe edition, which I'm not dragging out of my library into my office to show on the on camera. But these things were done by IDW, and I highly recommend them. They've obviously, there's been at least 2 film adaptations. Well, actually more than that, because there was Payback with Mel Gibson, which is an adaptation of the first Parker book, and I think also a Payback with Jason Statham. And then the original movie version was done in the 60s, and Lee Marvin was in that. So I recommend the Parker books, at least the early ones. And if you're into comic books and are wanting a comic book to read that is completely not woke, I would recommend them. And so that's for a Geeky Anomaly in the chat. So
what the fuck, Amos? We're like ready to wrap it up, and you just
what is that?
The whole party almost died. We really needed a spellcaster.
I sent you that link almost 2 hours ago. Where the fuck were you?
Doing other things.
Jesus Christ. Touching your swimsuit area, no doubt. All right, cool.
Yep.
Yeah. The big you got the big black oversized, did you?
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice. I really like the Parker stuff. I like the movie adaptions. I like the Lee Marvin version. I like the Mel Gibson version. Both edits of the Mel Gibson version. I have not seen the Jason Statham version of the movie, but I like the books. I love the comics. I like Darwin Cook's artwork. Very sad when he passed away. He definitely, his style really kind of worked perfectly for like gold and silver age stuff. So like his Kingdom Come, or not Kingdom Come, that's Alex Ross. His New Frontier stories that he did were really cool. And I really like the way he captures kind of the gold and silver age of DC heroes, but it was a perfect fit for doing the Richard Stark Parker books. So there you go.
James, go ahead. You want to read that for us? The
Compliment Man says, I'm Masculine Geek. IDW. Have you seen IDW? Seems to be in serious financial trouble. Their stock is at a multi-year low, $4 a share, and loses money. The comics industry being in trouble is part of what opened up a lot of the indie comics that sort of that cropped up. It was mostly driven by indie creators who were already in the industry and said, well, now I want to go work on my own thing. Ethan Van Sciver, for instance. And then if you were one of the people who was lucky enough to like sort of jump on that initial bandwagon, you had a bunch of people like Vox Day was pretty good on that. few people that a few other industry professionals. That's why they were able to get so really fantastic funding for their various comics. Yeah, IDW has been in trouble. It's been in trouble for a while.
What a shocker. So how you doing, Amos? You doing well?
Doing good.
You putting together a PC?
This is what I'm on right now.
Oh, nice. I like
So
the interior.
This no, this is already pre-built, so I didn't build any of this. But this is I've switched from a Mac now to a PC.
As well you should.
Yeah. And this it's actually a fairly good deal, but I had all the same like peripherals and I just hooked it up to this new thing.
Oh, okay.
And it's
cool.
running everything is like pretty much the newest, most of the newest stuff. So it's running like I actually have to shut this off every day now because it's like it will boot up in like I think 7 seconds. It'll boot
Nice.
up. So
That's
everything's
nice.
Just, yeah, it's
what's
Yep.
what's your brain in there? What are you rocking?
AMD.
Okay, I like AMD. They're pretty solid.
It's a Ryzen 7 5800. It's 3.8 gigahertz.
Okay.
And then there's a graphics card right here.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, no, you pointed it out. Yeah.
And then of
Cool.
course, it's way better than
SSD, of course, right?
Yeah, it's literally just a little chip right here. So
Yeah,
that's why
they're
it feels so quick.
they're ridiculously minuscule. Yeah.
Are you going to use it for gaming or for your podcasting? Or both?
Yes.
Both. I mean,
If you can run high-tier gaming software, the audio is not going to be a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Audio video is going to be good.
I got to get a different bit of a setup. Like I'm using this headset now, whereas the old microphone, it's not compatible for some reason. So I got to get a XLR thing for it because this is just straight USB and it just wasn't working. So
all right, you get XLR to USB if you wanted to. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's nice coming over to the better side of computing. And then of course, whereas if I ever I've already put a bunch of games on this, everything's running way faster.
Cool.
There's nothing like booting it up for the first time and seeing all your favorite games. Wow, I've never seen this detail before.
Very quickly, yeah. So what games are you playing lately?
Well, I booted up a couple of ones that I've played on my Mac here, but there's this one game called Stellaris. It's a grand strategy space kind of conquest game. You create a civilization and you basically are in a galaxy against other like aliens. Yeah, make the best famous list.
He does.
I literally got this like last week and it's just been
it's like Christmas. It's Christmas in July.
It is.
It really is. Yeah, cool. All right, nice. I like it. So you're going to be on the Zoom this Saturday? We're having Rollo as a guest.
I'll be listening in for sure.
All right, cool. Yeah, so everyone who has not, there are 2 subscriber slots left for masculinegeek.life. And we have special guests, and this special guest happens to be Rollo. So we're going to have Rollo on an unrecorded private session where we ask him, we talk about anything, no holds barred, okay? And these meetings are cool because you can pretty much, for lack of a better word, let your hair down, as it were. There's no one recording. There's no threat of being canceled or your stream shut down. So that's one of the perks of Masculine Geek Life. Right, TJ?
Right. Lieutenant.
Right. Meh. Rah. See?
Yeah, that's accurate. See, you don't like it. You can go Go to communist China. See,
Yeah, you can go
China. China's asshole.
China's asshole. So yeah,
Jackie Chan likes it. Apparently, he can't wait to join the Communist Party.
No.
Exactly. So Masculine Geek, the Masculine Geek.life, we vet all of our members. You cannot be a spurg or a retard.
Or a Chinese red communist.
Yeah. At Masculine Geek, you have to have a member to be a member.
Exactly. You have to have someone vet you. And then even then, if we're not sure of you, we will talk to you and make sure you're not a spurg or retard or a spy.
We'll ask you about the impossibility of the social calculator. And if you spurg out, we're like, red Chinese.
Exactly. It is.
Communist detected on American soil.
Exactly.
Engaged.
Exactly. So TJ's frothing at the mouth notwithstanding, it is a good time, and it is a good space to be in. It's definitely a exclusive men's group. So there, if you don't join, you're a loser. That's my.
Zoom meetings are really good because you're talking. All the guests that we're
marketing
are talking about the things that they're doing.
Exactly.
So that's more of reality. Listening to people's processes and stuff like that. It's not the social complaints. It's people doing stuff.
Exactly. It's really you're getting a glimpse into what I've talked about before, and what I really like.
Red meat
is the the red meat. Yeah, that's true. But the creative spark.
Mm.
What is driving the authors, the creators, the filmmakers? We've had Jack Donovan on. We've had a host of people. We've had Thor. We've had Mark Zolo on.
I was just about to ask, who was the pirate?
Mark Zolo, the pirate.
That was Mark Zolo.
Yeah, he's doing well out in Malta.
And the Alabaster Girl.
That is Zan Perion. He hasn't been in a private chat, but that is something that is going to be forthcoming. So
awesome.
we want to talk to Zan. We want to talk to Zan in a private one, like one to many, but being unrecorded and being like James was saying, it's very you're talking about the things that you're doing that are important to you, that passionate part of your soul that comes out, that maybe in some instances you can't talk about publicly. Certain things you cannot talk about publicly. So
I mean, there's things that when you went to the lodge you could talk about with your lodge brothers that you wouldn't necessarily talk about at home or.
And that's right, Sterling Cooper. Yeah. We had Sterling Cooper on as well. That was in every instance we were privy to information and really amazing stories that the public did not get. So sorry, people, you're shit out of luck.
I just remember that one when we had some guys that were asking a lot of questions of Sterling.
Yes.
Now I've seen her. Is she really as good as she looks? Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff, or like, how do you what?
Hey, when you
can you give us a sample that doesn't infringe on the privacy of the group?
Exactly, and thanks, Bacon, for giving Sterling a shout out. I forgot, and we've even had that fucker Aaron Clary on too to talk privately. So
that's probably safest, right?
Right. So yeah, it's a good time. So like I said, I don't want any more than 12 subscribers. So we have 2 slots left. Go check out masculinegeek.life. You think that's something you want to
do? Not wait until Saturday to look.
Yes, if you wait until Saturday, you're not fucking getting in. So
we just announced that we're having Rolo Saturday. If you're watching right now, you have the head start on everybody else.
Exactly.
Just the moment it goes out on Twitter is when 2 of Rolo's fans are going to immediately snap. You might be in the chat now. Those 2 fans.
Exactly. We are the dirty dozen, so to speak. We're definitely dirty. That's for sure. Some of our conversations, and they're good. And like I said, they're unrecorded, they're uncensored. It's just a good time. You also get access to the speakeasy, which is the forum, and that's sort of a dying thing that TJ and I have been wanting to revive. Is the texting, the emailing, and the forum talk that takes place that's uncensored for the most part. I mean, there's some things in the past we've had to deal with, but for the most part is uncensored and fresh and new. It's a place to hang out and ask questions and bounce ideas off one another and say, hey, I'm working on this or I have a problem with this. It's just a good time. We have a private Telegram. We have a private Instagram, all kinds of cool stuff. So
I know it was mentioned at one point in time. Are you still looking at maybe trying to wrangle John Norman for either that or for
I have all of his private addresses and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
I've drafted up an email and I've gone back and forth with it many times on what I want to say. So that will be forthcoming probably as long as the man does not die before the end of the year. That will probably happen in December.
Okay.
So yes.
Bottom line is there's been a lot of really great guests thus far, and there is the potential for a lot of really great guests in the future. So
correct. And John Norman, he may be part of the Masculine Geek life. I think he will, just by the nature of his content,
his work.
His work.
I mean,
now,
his
Bacon,
body of work deserves it. Yeah,
exactly. Bacon. Yes, there is a private Telegram. I've mentioned this numerous times. I'm not sure why you're not on it. That is on you. I'm not your father. I'm not going to hold your hand. So go back into your emails, check out some other telegrams, do some things. But yes, there's a Telegram. God damn it! God damn you, Bacon!
I rarely check it, and I'm in it.
Yeah, you're in it too. Yeah.
Sometimes you're in the Monday newsletter too.
Every now and then, yeah. Amos is a contributor, and so is Bacon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
indeed. All right. We're getting to that point. It is the 2-hour mark. So, let's do some housekeeping. Robert, where can everyone find you?
Robert Kuzlin on Twitter and Instagram and on YouTube. Also hanging out with the Masculine Geeks whenever I get the invite. So, and happy to do so. So, very, very happy to be around here. So, thank you guys.
Oh, our pleasure. It's an honor and a privilege, and you're welcome anytime. James, how about yourself?
You can find me on Twitter at Asher Creativity, and I do most of my online discussions at this point on Discord. You can find the link in the description of my Twitter bio.
There you go. Amos, where can everyone find you and your awesome PC?
Just find me on Twitter at Amos Joe. So
okay, and you used to be on the 10K Run podcast on YouTube, right?
It's still there.
That's what I mean. You can go back and look. Yeah.
There's a whole 140 episodes for you to watch. So.
And is it true that you may have something new in the works?
I don't know. I'm just enjoying this new computer.
He's gonna lick it later.
Exactly.
Yeah. If we find that sound card all gummed up the next time we get together.
Hey, right. It's like, wait, why is that smeared? Why is that? Looks like a fucking lens with Vaseline on it.
There's a weird shape right here.
You put liquid nails on that thing? What are you doing, Amos?
Dipping your balls in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
you'll be famous Amos for a whole other reason, man.
Talk about cookies.
You'd advertise anything you want after that.
Would those be half fortune cookies or?
Yes, one hung low. TJ, how about yourself?
TJ Martinell, MartinEll.com.
And everyone's gonna very much look forward to TJ's next book. I highly endorse it, and we will market the shit out of that once it is released.
And you're being brief, right? Or you're in your briefs. Which is it? TJ?
Both. That's why his video is off. He's in a swimsuit.
Exactly.
But yeah, Mictobus is right. Robert is a perfect fourth musketeer.
Thank you.
D'Artagnan.
Good company. Right. I feel right at home here. So
thank God.
Right.
Yeah. I was worried all this time I was pronouncing it incorrectly.
D'Artagnan? No, you're good.
But no.
The goddamn G is silent, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
That's silent. See. All right. So, and you can find me on Masculine Geek Life. We still have our archive of essays that I ported over from masculinegeek.com. If you click on the top left-hand side, you'll see the essay archive. We may be getting more into that as far as posting more essays. So,
speaking of which, I don't have time to do writing and stuff like that right nowadays, because all my writing is on my RPG shit. I've got 2 or 3 recordings prepped, so just pop them on masculinegeek.live, like catch-up stuff.
Sure, let me know. I'll put them on Sound. I'll send them to me first. I'll dump them on SoundCloud,
right?
And then I'll post a link on Masculine Geek Life for you.
Well, you can embed them on masculinegeek.live so they could play it natively on the site.
Not really. You're gonna waste my bandwidth, motherfucker. So send me the originals, and as I said, I'll post them on SoundCloud. And then I'll put the link to SoundCloud on there because we do have a SoundCloud. It's horribly out of date, but still some good stuff on there. Head over to SoundCloud and just look up Masculine Geek. But we'll post up James's audios. So excellent, everyone.
Transcripts.
Exactly. So I think next week we'll get back to D&D. I know Drew has some family issues to take care of, so it may be Rollo running the game this one. But as I said, Rollo will be in a private, non-recorded Masculine Geek, what we call the Fortress Zoom Hangout. So there's 2 slots left for Masculine Geek Life. If we know of you, or if you've interacted with us within the chat, you've almost automatically vetted yourself and you can join. Otherwise, get lost. So that will be occurring this Saturday. Rollo Tomasi on the MasculineGeek.life Zoom Fortress Hangouts. Failing that, look out for the newsletter. Monday mornings, go sign up for that. It's free
and good stuff.
It's good stuff. Robert's been enjoying my writing on there the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and again this Monday, another bit of good advice to people. So
Thank you.
also, some might call it gatekeeping, but I think it's just being honest with people. And if you can't, don't come here if you can't stand us being honest, not with you and not with each other, because that's just how it is.
Oh yeah,
the travel writing is mint.
Yes,
What'd you say?
It's very good.
What'd you say?
The travel writing.
Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you. Yes, I do some good travel writing, good BDSM stuff. Good, and just I throw up anything. I'll even do a play-by-play of what I'm doing during the week. Some may call it arrogant. I don't care. Go fuck yourself. It's my newsletter. It's our newsletter, Masculine Geek newsletter. And if you don't feel like reading it, then you unsubscribe. So far, we haven't had any unsubscribers. So I'm assuming you're enjoying the content. So there you go. What else? What else do we have to say? Oh, and the D&D game next Wednesday. So we're here every Wednesday, per usual, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, that's going to do it unless we have any other questions in the chat. Going once. Going twice. All right, everyone, have a good evening. And TJ, you know what to do? Take us out.
All right. Keep the wine flowing. Keep the lead shooting down range. Don't take any wooden nickels. And don't, for the love of God, drink all the rum.
That's right. Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah. 30 hours.
I love it.
Get to the speak.